These bleached light woods are so hot right now. You see them everywhere, but in order to get there, a lot of times you have to strip off the existing finish. So in today's video, that's what I'll be doing. You guys are gonna watch me fall in love with a stripper. So this dresser I found magically at my local Goodwill. I mean, I never find vintage Drexel at my Goodwill, but this was the lucky day. There it goes, up on the trailer and back to my garage to get some work done. I told you guys, I'm going to be stripping. So this is the stripper that I'm using. It's called Clean Strip. It's the 15-minute formula. Of course, you're going to need some other stuff along with that to clean up your mess. And as always, we're going to be wearing our protective gear. Don't want to be breathing in those fumes. And I am working in the garage, but I'm just right by the door. So the garage door is open and I have a fan blowing to try to keep things fume-free as possible. Of course, read and follow all the instructions on your particular can, but for me, I'm applying liberally on just one section. So in this case, I'm just doing the top of the dresser right now. I am smoothing it out with a chip brush, which is a natural fiber. Sometimes the synthetic things can get melted by this stuff. And then I'm going to leave it for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes has passed, I have my scraper and my water bottle, tray there that I'm going to be using to toss off the goop. It does get goopy, you can see, right? I've learned after doing this several times that keeping some kitty litter on hand, or even in the box that you're scraping the leftover residue into, really helps to keep things from getting spilled, and it helps to absorb all that stuff so that you're not going to accidentally drop it and have a big mess on your hands and stuff. And then of course you're going to need to dispose of this properly. You can check with your local trash service to figure out what the best way to do that is. But for me, I have a local place that I can take, it's called hazardous waste, but that you can deliver the hazardous waste to, and then you don't have to worry about, the stuff being at your house. You can take it that day. And for me, I just sleep a lot better if the stuff isn't here at my house. Look. Ah! Oh my gosh, we gotta let this guy out. So again, I have a fan going in the background. My garage door is wide open, and I also have an air purifier going in the garage at the same time. So and I'm wearing a mask. Just make sure you're following all the safety precautions you possibly can. I love refinishing furniture, but I don't want it to harm myself or harm any of you guys who may be following my instructions. On projects like this, I always find myself just using anything I can possibly get my hands on that might work in the situation, reaching out to friends and asking for advice from other furniture refinishers, and really getting into these nooks and crannies is an ordeal, and the secret weapon is really hard work. But steel wool was really great for me. It worked so well just getting in there and cleaning off the finish off the surface. So keep some steel wool handy, and I used a combination of some brushes and paper towel and all sorts of stuff to get the job done. At first, I wasn't going to refinish the inside drawers and the backs of the doors, but after seeing how drastically light the outside was, and then opening up the doors and seeing that wood, it just looked a little off, so I decided that needed to be done. And this plastic scraper did such a terrible job. 0 stars for that one. I don't recommend it at all. Metal scraper was the way to go, and the razor was really helpful too, although you have to kind of be careful. This dresser is super well made and solid wood, but a lot of the parts that I'm stripping are veneer, and they're a pretty thin wood veneer at that, and so I do have to be careful when it comes time to sand, and I have a history of breaking through veneer, so I'm really gonna have to like watch it and just stick with maybe like the higher grit sandpaper. Hopefully, because I'm doing all of this stripping, I don't have to do that much sanding. What I'm going to be doing next is creating a paint wash using half tan paint and half water. And I'm just going to be doing this to help balance out the color of the woods. There's a lot of different woods on this piece, I think about 3 different types. And so I just want to make everything look cohesive. And then there are actually 2 spots that I did use wood filler on that I'm going to be just using straight paint to kind of blend away those little spots. They're in inconspicuous areas, and so it will not be noticeable, but without a paint wash it certainly would be noticeable. And then also using a paint wash like this is going to keep my piece from turning yellow or getting darker when I go to apply the top coat. You guys have seen me apply a paint wash like this many times in the past, and a lot of times I've used a paintbrush to paint it on and then wipe away the excess, and I'm sure you'll see all over the internet people applying it different ways, but what I have found lately working really well for me is applying it with the foam roller. You guys know I love the Whiz foam rollers, and it just applies a little bit thicker of a paint wash, and so I don't have to remove anything after I wipe it on unless it's just super heavy for some reason. And so I get a bit more coverage, and it just gives it that more cohesive look, but also letting the wood grain show through. So this has just been working really well for me. But by the end of the project, I use a variety of tools to get the paint wash on, depending on the nooks and crannies and spaces and stuff. But for flat surfaces, I'm really liking this application method. But you'll see me break out the foam brush, and then I even use a paintbrush in some certain spots that these are too big to get into. As I was going through the project, I found that I needed to stir the paint several times because the paint would start to settle to the bottom of the paint wash. And so just to keep the water and paint mixed up and applying evenly, I needed to stir it every once in a while. It's not showing up very well on camera, but when I went to apply the paint wash, a lot of times the wood would darken up and turn a bit pink because I was essentially, soaking it with water, and it didn't turn back into the updated color until it dried. So don't let that throw you off if it happens.
Is that?
Mm-hmm. Whenever I could, I went with the grain of the wood, applying the paint wash, and in my mind, I imagined that I was sectioning it off into these planks. So I have like a 4-inch plank, and then I do like a 2-inch plank and go all the way down on the sides, or like when you saw me do the top of it. And just in case they would dry with any lines, it would look like it was meant to be there. And at the end of it, there were no streaks or anything. I've done a few tabletops where I had a little bit of streaking going on. Obviously, a tabletop is a really big, long thing to try to keep straight. So this worked really well. And then I used the foam brush just to kind of blend out because my roller doesn't get all the way up into the edges. And so I just kind of use that. There's probably a better way, guys, but that's the way I did it. Just wanted to do a side by side so you could see what it looks like when it's dry, and then the old way that it looked. So you can see it does lighten up the wood quite a bit. And if you like the way the one that I'm painting right now looked before the paint wash, then stay tuned. I'm going to be doing a video on how to seal that and keep that color very soon. But I really wanted to try this more modern look and this very McGee & Co. inspired style and see if it sells well in my market, because I have a feeling it's going to sell well and for more money. So that is a win for me.
By the way, I got my piggy bank. That please enter your passcode. I have that all my money. That has money in it now. I put money in it.
I had a lot of trouble figuring out the hardware for this particular piece because a lot of these vintage dressers have odd hole spacing, and the standard is 5 inches and this one's 5.5. And anyway, it turned into a whole few days of me trying to figure out what to do as far as hardware goes. But I did land on these that I actually already had in my garage for another project that were left over. And so I spray painted them black, and then I did a little bit of a distressed finish on that. And let me know in the comments if you want me to do a video on the hardware and kind of what I did there, because I was running out of time here, so I didn't include that part in the video. And then I just went over it with some wax. You could seal your piece with anything that you want at this point. I just had this on hand. It was nice and easy. Something I've learned a little bit more recently with wax finishes is that if you leave stuff in the nooks and crannies, when it dries, even though this wax is a bit of a yellow color, when it dries it'll be white and crusty. And so I had to get rid of some of that with like a blow dryer and clean up some of my mess. But obviously it'd be better to do it, wipe it away with a brush or something while the wax is still, not dry. All right, let's take a look at the before. Beautiful Drexel solid wood piece. It's stunning. And then here's right when you're gonna feel like giving up. And then here's the after. So happy with this. I know it'll sell. It's beautiful. It's one of a kind type of piece that people will have in their homes for, a decade and just love it. So I'm so happy with this. Let me know if you guys want a tutorial on how I did that hardware in the comments. And let me know if you think I should paint the hinges black. Should I put a little bit of black on the hinges or leave them as is? They kind of blend in right now, but I'm so grateful that you guys watched this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!